The day of the family photo shoot was warm, unnaturally cheerful, the kind of day that fools you into thinking life is picture perfect. My mother insisted everyone wear cream and beige. "It gives us a classy look," she said. I stood in front of my closet for 30 minutes, trying to find something that wouldn't make me look like a washed-out ghost next to my sister's tailored outfit and my brother's designer shirt. I settled for a dress I bought on sale 3 years ago. It didn't scream elegance, but it whispered decency. Please subscribe to our channel and tell me in comments from where are you watching this video. When I arrived at the park, they had already begun setting up. My dad waved absently when he saw me. My mom looked me up and down once, smiled tightly, and said, "Couldn't you have at least done your hair like your sister?" I bit my tongue and gave the photographer a forced smile. I was used to these moments, these comments, these expectations that I would always fall short of the standard they'd set for my siblings. As we lined up for the photo, I stood at the end. I wasn't told to move closer. No one reached out to loop me in. My brother and sister laughed about something that happened at a party I wasn't invited to. My mother fluffed her hair. My father adjusted his tie. No one even noticed that I was there, or if they did, they didn't care to include me in the warmth that wrapped around them like an invisible family blanket. Still, I smiled, because that's what I always did. Smile through the silence, smile through the neglect, smile through every birthday they forgot, every favor they demanded without thanks, every time I was told I was too sensitive. The photographer counted down. 3, 2, 1, smile, click. And just like that, the moment was immortalized. Or so I thought. A week later, my cousin tagged me in a Facebook post that stopped my heart cold. It was the family photo. Well, their family photo. My brother, my sister, my mom and dad. All beaming, all glowing. The sun behind them like a warm blessing. But I wasn't in it. My first thought was that she'd uploaded the wrong one. Maybe there were individual shots. Maybe the photographer had taken a few groupings. But no. The caption read, "Our perfect family day." I scrolled through the comments. People were writing things like, "You all look amazing. Such a beautiful family. Picture perfect." I zoomed in. I squinted. I was gone. Literally cropped out. Edged out of existence like a bad edit. As if I was never part of the photo. As if I had never been standing there at all. I stared at the screen, my thumb hovering over the image, stunned. I checked the family group chat. They had shared the same photo. No one said a word about the missing daughter, the missing sister, the person who held this family together more times than she could count. No one noticed I was erased. Or worse, they noticed, and no one cared. The heartbreak was not sharp and sudden. It was slow, thick, suffocating. I remembered when I was 12 and got straight A's, but all they talked about was how my sister was selected for a modeling workshop. I remembered when I got sick during finals week and still aced my exams, but my father told me to be more supportive of my brother's new startup, which had just failed again. I remembered how I used to bake a cake for everyone's birthday, and no one even brought me a card for mine. I remembered the time my mother said, "You're the dependable one. You don't need attention like the others." I thought she meant it as praise. Now I know it was permission to ignore me. I closed my phone. I sat on my bed and stared at the wall for hours. A quiet numbness overtook me. I wasn't just hurt. I was invisible. I wasn't just forgotten. I was deleted. I walked to the hallway and looked at the framed family photo from 3 years ago. There I was, at the edge again. My face partly shadowed, my hand barely touching anyone else. The ghost in every shot. I opened my laptop. I opened documents they didn't know I controlled. When my mom had surgery, I helped set up her online patient portal. When Dad kept forgetting passwords, I set up his mobile banking access. I was the emergency contact for both of them. I handled the utility bills when they couldn't understand online systems. I was the person they leaned on every time they needed order, logic, help. Not anymore. I opened each account and removed my name, one by one, silent, clean, deleted, just like they did to me. I didn't say anything in the family chat. I didn't message anyone. I didn't rage. I didn't ask why. I simply started to disappear too. But unlike their cut-and-paste edits, mine had consequences. I would not be the invisible backbone anymore. I would be the silence that thundered when they needed me most. 3 years had passed since that portrait was taken, the one where my presence had been erased as if it never mattered. Cropped out so cleanly, so deliberately, that no one who saw it would ever suspect I had once stood in that photo, arm around my dad, smiling despite how awkward I'd felt that day. That frame now sat above their fireplace, the centerpiece of their perfectly curated lie. I had moved on, or at least I convinced myself I had. I relocated to a different city, worked tirelessly through grad school, and landed a position at one of the top architecture firms in Chicago. My studio apartment was small but bright, decorated with warm tones and memories that I chose. There were no pictures of my family on the walls, not even one. The pain didn't fade. It evolved. It stopped burning and started numbing. I stopped expecting their calls. I stopped hoping for texts on birthdays. I watched from afar as they celebrated Emily's engagement, hosted Jacob's med school party, and vacationed together without ever extending a hand toward me. And still, a part of me wondered if they'd ever realize what they'd done. Then, one Sunday morning, just as I was sketching out plans for a housing shelter project my firm had approved, my phone rang. It was a number I didn't recognize, but something in my gut told me to answer. "Anna." The voice was small, broken. "It's Mom. Your father. He collapsed this morning. They think it's his heart. He's at St. Vincent's. Please. We need you." I didn't speak. Not a single word. The silence between us stretched long enough for her to whisper again. "Anna, are you there?" I hung up. That night, I sat alone on my couch, staring at the black screen of my TV. My dinner had gone cold. My heart wasn't cold, but it was tired. Tired of being the daughter they only remembered in times of desperation. The next morning, a message came from Emily. "He might not make it. Can't you at least come to say goodbye? He's your dad." Number. He had stopped being my dad the day he told me to step aside in the photo because we need room for Jacob and his trophy. That day, he chose optics over offspring. Over the following week, I received 5 more texts, none from my mother, 2 from Emily, the rest from Jacob, surprisingly. I never agreed with how they treated you. I just didn't know what to do. Too little, too late. I never responded. Instead, I picked up a pen and wrote a letter. Not out of spite, not to start a war, but to end the battle within myself. I enclosed a photograph I had saved all these years, a candid picture taken moments before the photographer asked us to pose for that family portrait. In it, I stood smiling with my arm around my father. The warmth in his eyes was real. It was proof that I existed in that moment, that I belonged. On the card, I wrote, "You erased me once. Now you get to feel what it's like when I'm truly gone." I mailed it to their address. 2 weeks later, I learned through an old neighbor that Dad survived. A pacemaker and heavy medication saved him. I also learned that he opened my letter in front of the family while recovering at home. He stared at the photo for over an hour, saying nothing, and then he cried. Not the polite, embarrassed crying of a proud man, full sobbing, shaking, apologizing to no one in particular, to the air, to the shadows in the hallway, to the daughter he knew would not pick up when he called. I continued with my life. I designed a shelter for single mothers and won an award for it. My name was printed in a magazine. That same week, I got a message from Emily. "Mom saw the article. She's proud of you. We all are. Please, let us make things right." I didn't respond. Not because I hated them, but because I no longer needed their pride to validate my worth. The final letter came in spring, in my father's handwriting. "Anna, I know I can't ask for forgiveness, not after how we treated you. But I saw what you built. I followed your project online, and I've never been prouder of any child than I am of you. We lost more than a daughter. We lost our conscience. If silence is what we've earned, we will sit in it. Just know that we love you. Always did. Even when we didn't know how to show it." I read it once, then again, and again. I cried, quietly, not from pain, but from release. In a box under my bed was the old family photo, the original, the one before I was cropped. I took it out, looked at it one final time, then placed it in a new frame. And that night, for the first time in years, I hung a photo on my wall. Not to remember them, but to remember me. Please subscribe to our channel and tell me in comments from where are you watching this video.